And here I was going, okay, I still feel different.
We are told that if we're beautiful, if we're skinny, if we're successful, famous, if we fit in, if everyone loves us, that we'll be happy. But that's not entirely true.
I don't like wasting my time spending days just...
So you get the point, right? So tell me, what are some of the common themes in our personal lives that we can take from what they're talking about? Now, this is, according to Western society, the pinnacle of success. You got fame, you got fortune, right? If you're a young guy, they've got girls around them, vice versa. All these things that are driven by these passions, these banjabut that we talk about, these guys are now saying, wait there, it's not what it's cracked up.
It's empty.
Sorry?
It's empty.
It's empty, right? So, my question to you is, when we look at all of this, right, would you agree that the way we receive information from the general society, isn't it all about this? Yes or no? Right? If this does not give us happiness, right, then we have to look at something a little bit broader, right? Remember we said peace of mind? Remember here, every time, even when we talk about Simran, we're talking about a means to an end, right? Still very self-centered to some degree, but very good thing, right? But still very self-centered, right? So now, this is what Gurbani says about those exact things that they're talking about. That's what I'm trying to do, is relate everyday common emotions, right, that we go through directly with Gurbani. It says, Mithya, Raj, Joban, Tanmal. Right? False are power, youth, wealth, and property. Are these not pretty much all the things that we're talking about? Yes or no? Singhji, wake up. I can't be boring you that quickly, right? So if we're looking for peace, right, some of the things we have to do is we have to redefine success, right? We have to reprioritize the way we live our life. So, give you a quick example. How old does an average person live to be in Canada, let's say? 81. Let's say 80, round number. Out of those 80 years, how long are you asleep for? Roughly. If you have one day, 8 hours of sleep, for example, doctor recommended 6 to 8 hours, that's about 33% of that 80. What's 33% of 80? Roughly. Andy? 25. So 25 of those 80 years, you're asleep. Now add another 33% for work, school, etc., etc. What are we up to? About 50, right? So now, on top of that, add all your entertainment in. You know, your soccer, basketball, whatever you do, piano, whatever it is that you do. Can you see the picture here? Your life and actual time you actually have to spend to do what's real has gone from here down to here. Can everybody see that? That's why we have to become very efficient and effective even when it comes to Sikhi. We can't waste time. Because if you truly believe this is a one-off chance, then you got to make it count, right? So, we talked about this idea of God, right? So who's heard of Bhai Nandalal? Right? And hopefully I want to clear some misconceptions up, right? So in 1695, Bhai Nandalal ji had a conversation with Guru Gobind Singh ji, right? He was a very pyara Gursikh of Guru Gobind Singh ji Maharaj, right? And he goes, well, if I want to converse with you, how do I do that? And this is what Guru Sahib said to Bhai Nandalal ji, and Bhai Nandalal ji wrote it out. And this is from our historically panthically accepted writings. And it says, Teen roop hai mohe pe, suno ho nand chit laye, nirgun sargun gur shabd hai, kehe tohe samjhaye. He goes, I have three forms. One is formless, one is with form, and one is the good shabd. Why is this important? Remember we said we're going to talk about the aspects of Guru and God? Because there's a big confusion. Because when I say to you, who is your Guru? Right? You're going to say, Guru Granth Sahib Ji. And then when I say to you, well, was Satguru around before Guru Nanak Dev Ji? What are you guys going to say? How? Haji? Okay. See what I'm saying though? But the common conception is Guru is this entity that only belongs to Sikhs. Guru is as Satguru has always existed, right? And okay, so these are the aspects of our Guru. So Nirgun is Shabd, Naam. You guys have heard these concepts of Shabd, Naam, etc., etc. So this is the Nirgun form of Vaheguru, right? The Sargun form of Vaheguru is from Guru Nanak Dev Ji to Guru Gobind Singh Ji, and then that was the transference occurred to the Panch Pyare. Everybody follow me so far? The Guru Shabd form of Guru, right, is Guru Granth Sahib Ji and the Guru Mantra. How do we know that? Because Bhai Gurdas Ji, right, says Vaheguru Guru Mantra hai, Jap home koi, right? So these are the aspects of Guru that are often misconstrued, right? So this is a very important fundamental, this is very fundamental to your thinking now, right? Because moving forward, when somebody says Guru, don't just think of Guru Granth Sahib Ji as this entity or this power, right, that's just sitting in front of you now, right? Think of Guru Granth Sahib Ji as that form of the Shabd that has always been here, it's always been, like, it's always part of, since the beginning of creation. Does everybody fundamentally understand this aspect right now? Because moving forward, this is going to be your backdrop, right? Because, I'll tell you why. When you start to translate Gurbani on your own, you'll always do it in two aspects. You'll do it in the Nirgun aspect, and then you'll do it in the Sargun aspect. And why I say that is because you can take a tuk of Gurbani, it can mean one thing. It does mean one thing. But depends on your avastha. The word, the Ik Oankar, in and of itself, most people say one God. But somebody who has actually met that divinity, it means something totally different. You get what I'm saying? So what happens as we progress closer to Guru, then what happens? We get to a point where we can appreciate the true reality. Everybody follow me so far? Good.
By the way, I have a question actually.
Hanji, go ahead.
I feel like the Sadgun, I don't know if it's just Panch Pyare or it's supposed to be the Khalsa itself.
Hanji?
I feel like it's supposed to be the Khalsa.
It is.
Yeah.
So let me just clarify that. Panch Pyare, what do they represent?
They're the leaders of the Khalsa, yeah.
Right. Guru Khalsa, this ideology of Guru Granth and Guru Panth.
Yeah.
Right? So those are collectively like Guru's Jodh and Guru's body. Right?
Yeah.
So but the Panch Pyare are like the pinnacle of the Khalsa.
Yeah.
Right? They're the representative of the whole. But you're right, there's a tuk in Gurbani that says Sikh Guru, is it Guru Sikh? Sikh Guru Sikh? Right. Right. So it directly references Sikh is the Guru, Guru is the Sikh. It's like this idea, Jat mein hai Jodh, Jodh mein hai Jata. I am the light is in me, and you know, it's one and the same. Just depends on what angle you look. So you're absolutely right. It is the Guru Khalsa Panth, but for discussion purposes, Panch Pyare are your Guru though, right? Because the human Guru was discontinued after Guru Gobind Singh Ji, transferred to Guru Granth Sahib Ji, but it carried on the Maryada through the Panch Pyare. That's what Khande Ki Paul is about, right? Sorry, I'm just trying to fix. Do you guys know how to make the presenter notes appear here but not there?
No.
You guys, there's got to be some tech savvy people in here.
Oh, this is a Mac.
Aja. Do you know how to do it? I know how to do it on a Mac as well. I know how to do it on
I'll do it on Windows.
Windows.
Isn't it just under PowerPoint?
No, this is Keynote.
Slideshow? Oh, it's Keynote.
Yeah.
It's different on Keynote than it is on PowerPoint.
Chalo, koi hal nahi.
You want a Windows?
Hanji?
You want a Windows?
No, because then I'll have to transfer the whole thing. Don't worry. Okay, so now imagine you talked about this oneness, huh? This aspect of Vaheguru that's always been around, right? See that digit 1? See, Guru Nanak Dev Ji could have started Guru Granth Sahib Ji with Ilinu Se Hari, Adha Kankaka Ek, could have wrote it out. But they purposefully used the digit 1. Right? The reason for that is that oneness, we say Sabana Jiya Kai Kudata, So Mai Visarana Jai, right? It's very important to understand that it's that one entity, that oneness, that one divinity exists alone, right? And out of that oneness came the power of Vaheguru, which manifested as the sound of Vaheguru, the essence of Vaheguru. You get what I'm saying? And from that, creation occurred, but the thing with what Vaheguru did is Vaheguru manifested itself into creation as well. You get what I'm saying? So it's not this idea of God is separate from creation. God is infused in the creation. Now, you know we talked about the Nirgun form of Guru? So our connection back to Guru, back to Vaheguru, is through the Nirgun form of the Shabad. How do we get there? We get there through Gurbani, and it gets us to this unheard Shabd we call Anhad, Nam, Bani, Gupta Bani, different names used in Guru Granth Sahib Ji. So, in order to get back from creation, you have to connect back with the sound of Vaheguru, with the essence of Vaheguru, and then you can become back one. It's almost like this is symbolic. This is not an actual letter. You won't see in the Gurmukhi Penti an Uda like that. This is a symbolism. You get what I'm saying? So this is how Guru Granth Sahib Ji starts to unfold through this infinite power of the One. And just to confirm from Gurbani that, we use the word Shabad. Oftentimes we say Shabad just to mean, when we say Shabad, what do we mean?
Right.
Yeah, like Guru Granth Sahib Ji di Bani cho Shabad, right? So when you read this, and I want you to translate it or look at it from the lens of the Sargun and the Nirgun aspect now, and you'll understand. It says, Utpate parlo sabde hove, sabde hirifar fere opate hove. How can something, I just said Vaheguru, I just said Ek Oankar Satgur Prasad. Did I just create something? When you try and understand Gurbani just from that vantage point, does it make sense? When I say Vaheguru, did I just create and destroy something? Guru Sahib is saying everything is creation and destruction happens from this Shabd. So what I want you to do is just start opening your mind a little bit when you're looking at Gurbani. Shabd has a much deeper meaning than we've come to understand. Just in the common understanding. And when you look at Gurbani, always look at it from those two vantage points. What could this mean in Nirgun through? What could this mean in Sargun through? Everybody follow me? Yes or no? Okay. So, reason why I want to go over this is such an important aspect of Sikhi, right? But before I go over it, did Guru Nanak Dev Ji have a guru? Who said no? I heard some no's. Guru Nanak Dev Ji didn't have a guru, huh?
I don't agree with that.
Huh?
I don't agree with that.
I'm not asking you to agree with it.
Oh.
I'm just asking you a question. Did Guru Nanak Dev Ji have a guru?
I agree with one guy.
Okay, perfect. And then, thanks. That's exactly what I want. I want us to have this conversation because then we'll look at Gurbani, what Gurbani says, right? Who says Guru Nanak Dev Ji had a guru? Put your hand up. Right up. Okay, about 4 or 5 of you, 8, 7, 8 of you. Who says Guru Nanak Dev Ji did not have a guru? Who just doesn't know? Perfect. Okay. So now we're going to go over what happened with Guru Nanak Dev Ji. In the, you know, he was born in 1469 into a Hindu family, right? The context, the backdrop of the time is that Muslim rulers everywhere, a lot of turmoil, and a lot of control, people battling for territory, etc., etc. Right? So about when he's 30 years old, so 1499 roughly, they moved to Sultanpur. Right? Everybody's heard that story, right? Then one day, Guru Sahib Ji disappears in the river. Who's heard of this story? Put your hand up. Guru Sahib Ji disappears in the water. Where did Guru Sahib go? Sachkhand. What do you guys think? Huh? To God. What happened to his body? Auntie? What do you guys think happened to Guru Sahib's body? It was in the river. Just going to introduce this idea. Auntie?
Like his body was in the river, but his soul went to God.
Soul went to God. So, now I want to give you this perspective, right? So, when Guru Sahib Ji when that whole incident occurred, Guru Sahib Ji, in their Sukham form, Sukham means that is subtle body, right? And we're going to go through that a little bit. Sukham means that within this body, this is simply a vehicle for something else. And we're going to get to that a little bit later. But Guru Sahib, with their Atma, went back to Vaheguru. With their Man, went back to Vaheguru. These elements, air, water and fire, simply remained in Hukam. So wherever there was air, water and fire, they just remained where they are. See, the thing with the Satguru has the power to create, destroy, kill, Satguru is essentially Vaheguru. Right? When they went to Guru's Darbar, I forget the Shabda now, but it talks about how this conversation took place.
Is it Baba Ki Hajiya?
Hanji?
Is it Baba Ki Hajiya? That one?
No, that's no. This one was Hota Di Tere Darbar or something. It's around one in Siddhi Rag, I think it is. Right? So I can't remember right now, but it's a conversation which takes place and where Guru Sahib is given directions as to what to do now. Right? Guru Nanak Dev Ji by Vaheguru themselves, right? So we talked about does Guru Nanak Sahib have a guru? Who's heard of the Bani called Siddh Gosht?
Me.
Siddh Gosht. Right? I want you to read this very carefully. Just the Tukkam before this, the Siddhs ask him, right? And I'm not picking on you, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right? Because unless we understand Gurbani, how are we going to create a relationship with our Guru? You get what I'm saying? So, they asked Guru Sahib Ji, they said, who is your Guru? And who you are Chilav? Now, I'm going to disrupt your way of thinking right now. Because what Guru Sahib said, he goes, Sabda Guru, Surtun Chilav. Did at any point Guru Sahib Ji refer to this as being Sikh? Did at any time Guru Sahib refer to the Panch Tat, air, water, fire, earth, matter, Akash being Sikh? Then why is it today that our definition of a Sikh is simply the Bana? The definition of a Sikh is the relationship between the Shabd and the Sot. So, in answer to your question, Guru Sahib did have a Guru. Guru Sahib's Guru was Akal Purkh themselves, Naam Roop. In actual fact, Guru Nanak Sahib was Naam personified. Imagine if Vaheguru could reveal itself. Well, they did in Guru Nanak Sahib. Right? So, the key understanding, the key learning right here though, is there is no Sikh without a Guru. Can everybody make that connection? Yes or no? There is no Sikh without a Guru. Because what does Sikh mean? Andy?
Learner.
Learner. What else?
Student.
Student. What else?
A disciple of Sikh Granth Sahib.
Disciple. Yes. What else? Anything else? So a Sikh, for example, is not just a learner or a follower. You get what I'm saying? Sikh is somebody who is there's a sense of devotion there. There's a sense of commitment there. It's more than, like you have a tabla teacher and they'll say, that's my guru. You get what I'm saying? That's a worldly guru. The guru here and the Sikh, the relationship is very different. So who thinks Guru Nanak Dev Ji had a guru? Put your hand right up. If you don't think Guru Nanak Dev Ji had a guru, put your hand up. If anybody asks you, it's in Siddh Gosht, it's very clear, where they ask Guru Sahib Ji, who is your guru and who's Chela you, and this is the answer Guru Sahib gives. Guru Sahib the guru, so Chela. Is he talking about the Guru Shabd form of Guru Granth Sahib Ji here, or is he talking about the Nirgun form of the Shabd called Naam, Shabd and Hadbani? What do you guys think? Could be, but I would say that he's referring directly to the revelation of Anhadbani, the Gupta Naam, Gupta Bani.
You experience that as the Shabd.
You experienced it at the Shabd, but the Shabd. So let me ask you this: when you meet Vaheguru, is it simply just at the Gurbani level, or is there something even beyond that? So if I read Gurbani, have I met Guru? Then what happens then?
You experience like another.
So there's something beyond. So now, it's a very important point you bring up. Shall I tell you why? Because sometimes we make the mistake, because I've heard people refer to Guru Granth Sahib Ji as a guide. The guide tells you how to live and this, that and the other, it's your Guru. And they look at it from simply a spiritual, from a worldly Guru, right? And it's not just a worldly Guru, I'm going to address that now, because the word Guru and Satguru, the word Guru itself, and I didn't plan this, but you see how the conversation organically went down that road, right? Because Guru, in a conventional sense, you might have a Tabla Guru. Yes? You might have a Jiu-Jitsu Guru. You might have a Gatka Guru. You get what I'm saying? In the worldly sense. The difference between a Guru and a Satguru is Guru. What does Sat mean? What does it mean? Truth. So, the sky is blue. Is that the truth? Is that a noun or a verb? The sky is blue. Is that the truth or is it true? Is it? It's a verb, right?
It's a relative term.
Right.
Experience that is relative.
Right. So, but what I'm trying to get at here is the truth with a capital T. You get what I'm saying? The entity of the truth. What it actually means in Gurbani, it means it's actually Ad, such, Jugad Sach, happy, Hosipi. In all dimensions of time, it remains constant and unchanged. Does that make sense? So, it comes from a Sanskrit word called Satya. And there's actually two elements to it. But Sat means the truth with a capital T. You get what I'm saying? It's different than something being true. Does that make sense? Yes or no? Okay. So, a very important distinction here is when we say Satguru, it's Guru of the truth. The connection is just not any old Guru. It is Guru of the supreme reality. The supreme one. The ultimate reality. Okay. So, what does Guru Granth Sahib mean? So right now we're just in part two. Remember I told today's agenda. We're just going to cover aspects of Guru and God before we move on to the evolution of the mind. What does Guru Granth Sahib mean? So remember, we had Nirguna, Sadguru and Guru Shabd form of Shabd, right? So this is Guru Granth Sahib Ji now, right? And this is the conversation that took place between Bhai Nandlal Ji and Guru Padshah Ji, right? What does Guru Granth Sahib Ji mean?
We like split apart the words. So
Just give it to me any way you think. Simple, open question. What does Guru Granth Sahib Ji mean?
Guru is one who brings from ignorance to understanding, right?
Yeah, keep going.
Granth means like a knot, like it's the end of like a chain of wisdom. So,
Keep going. You're on the right track.
it's also,
It's even better when it comes from the Sangat, right?
yeah.
As opposed to me putting it up there. But you're almost there.
Inside means like master.
Okay.
The complete truth.
The complete truth. What does Guru Granth Sahib Ji mean? Somebody from here. Anything? Okay. Pay attention to this now. It's along the lines of what this is the most fundamental misunderstanding because we treat Guru Sahib Ji as a book, as a guide. The power that's existent in Guru Sahib Ji, in the Shabd form of Guru Granth Sahib Ji, is the one and the same as the Nirgun form. I'll tell you why. Guru is one who takes you from darkness to light, ignorance to wisdom, right? Granth has two meanings. Conventionally, it is used to say Poti Sahib, right? The other meaning of Granth means Gundana. Imagine a braid, 3 strands of hair. What do? Layer one. You entwine until those 3 become. Sahib is the sovereign, the master, answerable to nobody. Now, based on that premise, this is what I think Guru Granth Sahib Ji means. You're almost there, no? One who takes you from ignorance to divine wisdom. So it's not just your average tabla guru. And has the power. This is the concept of Guru Prasad, folks. This is the concept of the Guru having the power, the blessings and the ultimate authority directly from Akal Purkh to say, you know what? Guru Sahib can take you from here directly and merge you with the Master. So one who takes you from ignorance to divine wisdom and has the power and does join you with the one divine force, the Sahib, the ultimate Sahib, the ultimate Master. Right? Who here has ever heard a translation of Guru Granth Sahib Ji like that?
First time, but it's amazing. Yeah.
Isn't it mind-blowing? Right now, I just had shivers down my spine. That when we go Matha Tek, just imagine, we're walking in, quickly running in, we are bowing down to this ultimate truth, who not only is the ultimate truth, but the one who has the power and has the authority to join you directly with Sahib. So from now on, when you look at Guru Granth Sahib Ji, I want you to walk up to Guru Granth Sahib Ji and say, wow, Guru, right? one who's going to take me from darkness to light, Wah, Guru, who's going to join me to who? Directly to Sahib. Akal Purkh. Isn't that amazing? This is the level of respect and love we have to have for Guru Sahib. But we have to work on that, right? Because, you know, the second question on Japji Sahib, who knows the second question in Japji Sahib? The first one was, Kiv Satyara Hoiye. How should I become? Second was, Muhao ke bolan boliye, jit sonan tare pyar. People often wonder, well, how can I build this love with Vaheguru? What did Guru Sahib say? Muhao ke bolan boliye, jit sonan tare pyar. When he hears this, ode vich bhi pyar ugve, like upje, right? And Guru Sahib is saying, Amrit Vela, Sach now, ki karna? Vadiyai, Vichar. When we say Vaheguru, it's just an average word for most of us. The essence, when we say Vaheguru, the way the Guru Sahib said Vaheguru, it was wow, literally. And it wasn't just a word, they were literally saying from inside, wow, I'm speechless. It was an expression of infinite gratitude of the divine wisdom, the divine divine virtues, limitless. You get what I'm saying? Alright, sorry, I'm going to move on because there's a lot of material to cover. So now, is there a difference now between Guru and God? I'll give you an example. Hi, how you doing? You shook my hand, right?
Yeah.
Right? Hand is still part of my arm.
Yeah.
Right?
Blue is an extension of that.
Why do we know this? Because we talked about this. Satguru has always existed. Utpat parlo sabde hove. The conversation with Bhai Nandalal ji. Satguru has always been there. Right? Guru Nanak Sahib was non-personified. Right? The same light is now present. Remember you talking? Guru Granth Sahib and Guru Khalsa Panth. That same light. In all the three aspects of Guru, Nirgun, Sargun and Guru Shabd, it's the one and the same divine force behind it. Right? And this is what Guru Sahib, in Gondarag, Guru Sahib says, Guru Paramesar Eko Jan. Jyote Supava So Parvan Raho. Guys, it's not like this idea that, you know, when you look at it from a different lens and we say, well, Guru isn't God. They're literally one and the same. Get what I'm saying? But what happens is when our connection, if you really believe and act that Guru Granth Sahib is the one who can take you there through the Shabad, right? Then we have to first connect with Guru Granth Sahib. I can't remember the tuk again, but there's a tuk in Guru Granth Sahib that talks directly. It says, to get to Naam, it says Gurbani te har naam paenda. Through Gurbani, you will get to Naam. Naam being the Nirgun form of the Shabad. Everybody with me so far? Any questions so far? Okay. Everything okay?
2:45.
Yeah.
And then they're going to have family time after this.
So, now this is very important as well, right? Because what happens is, you know, oftentimes we say, well, I've met people who do a lot of Simran. A lot of Simran. When I talk to them, they say, Guru's just a guide, right? You have to connect with Mom. I said, yeah, I fundamentally, I can't disagree with that. I said, but you got to understand, they're actually one and the same. Why? Because in Guru Granth Sahib said, Tan so kagad, kalam tan panda, tan masar, tan lakhari nanaka jin, naam lakhaya sach. Blessed is the ink, blessed is that paper, blessed is the writer who brought Naam, which is beyond the senses, to an aspect where we can start to relate to it, which will then take us to the unrelatable part. So, who reads, you guys can read Gurmukhi, right? So when you read that for us, please, loud.
सतगुरु नो जेहा को इच्छदा तेहा फल पाए होए नानक करता सब किछ जानदा जिदू किछ
Good job.
गुज्जा न होए.
Perfect. So, as one feels towards the true Guru, so are the roads he receives. Did we know that? If I approach Guru Granth Sahib Ji as simply a Guru, just your average Guru, it's unfortunate. Right? Satguru no jeha ko ichda. The way I go to my Guru, that's why even Guru Nanak Dev Ji Sahibzade weren't given the Guru Gaddi. Because they didn't have this. Bhai Lena had this. These aren't words. These are expressive actions. I always say to people now, like the older I get, so-called wiser I get, I said, you know what? We have to stop telling people about Sikhi. We have to start showing them Sikhi. I gotta stop dressing like a Sikh, I gotta start acting like a Sikh. I'm not saying it's wrong to dress like a Sikh. What I'm trying to say, the meat and potatoes, pardon the language, the core elements is how we gotta show Sikhi. You get what I'm saying? So, just to recap this part 2 that we were going over, so the aspects of Guru and God. So, 3 forms of Guru, and they are? Shout them out. Where do they come from? From the source. And the reason why I'm going through this, if somebody asks you, well, where did you get that from? I want you to be able to directly say, well, this is where I got it from. Where did you get that from?
By Nandlal's conversation.
Yes, by Nandlal Ji. And even when you read Gurbani, Sargun, Nirgun, Nirankar, Sunna Samadhi, Aap, like, it's there as well. Everything is created, destroyed through the Nirgun form of Shabd. Everybody see a theme here now? That is the ultimate connector. Guru Nanak Sahib's Guru was Shabd Guru. Guru is an extension of Vaheguru. Guru Granth Sahib Ji is our link back to our origin. And who is the Sikh? Shabd Guru, Surt, Tun, Chela. So we all clear with that part so far. Who here has learned anything new today? Put your hand up. I'm very happy to see that. Now the thing is, for you to go and do your own Khoj. Read Gurbani, read Bhai Gurdas Diyan Varan, listen to Katha, do all those things. Create your own relationship. This is just to plant a seed and hopefully create a spark. Right? So, what am I? Okay. What do you think of this question? Like it's, all these philosophers, you probably, if you're in university courses, they've asked you in philosophy or something, what am I? Let's have a conversation. Quick 3 or 4 minute conversation about what am I. What am I? Somebody says to you, what am I?
Well, the question itself could be looked at in a million ways. Some ways you can look at it is, what am I? You are a soul. You're also in the form of a body. You're also Guru Sahib's son or daughter. So there's a million different ways.
Perfect, thank you. In terms of just this here, you're right. What's happening is, and we're going to cover that too, right, is how you identify with yourself, with the self, with this. You get what I'm saying? I'm a Sikh. I'm not a Sikh. I'm an Indian. I'm British. I'm Canadian. It's how you identify. You get what I'm saying? But for the face value, this goes a lot deeper, but essentially, you hit the nail right on the head. We have this body, it's made out of 5 elements, yeah? We have this soul. Is the soul pure or is the soul dirty? Anji?
dirty, but it gets clean by those who take
Is it the soul that gets dirty though?
No, it's the mind that gets dirty.
Hang on. You guys should be here, not me. Right? The body is simply the vehicle for the Suksham Sarir. Inside of us, there's another Sarir. There's another being, if you will. Right? The mind and the soul are connected, but they're two different things. Right? And that's why the mind, the soul, think of the soul as actually being the divine spark of Vaheguru. Right? Think of the soul as being the arm of the body. You get what I'm saying? Think of the soul as being the sun ray, and the sun is still one and the same and still connected. You get what I'm saying? But it's not the whole. It's not the God, but it is part of God. You get what I'm saying? The physical body is the vehicle for the subtle body, which is the mind and the soul. Now, this goes into a lot deeper breakdown, but for the purposes of how much time we have here, it's just the mind and the soul. And then the mind, see, the mind is the key player here. That's why Guru Sahib says, Shab Guru Sot Ko Chela. That's why Guru Sahib says it. What does Guru Sahib say in the nun side? A man meria. It does say a sirira, right? But it's talking about the man. The context of a nun side is a man meria tu sadara ho haranale. Koho nanak sunare mana. Right? Guru Sahib is talking about the mind. Soul, don't worry about the soul. It's already there. Right? Now, this is very important. See, when the mind is facing the Guru, it is said to be Gurmukh. But when the mind is facing our primitive forces, the Panjadut, if you will, Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Ahankar, what's it called? Manmukh. Because it's acting not out of its origin or its original state, it's acting based on, right? The mind, man tu jot swarup hai, apna mool pashan. Yes, you are the divinity, you are the light, but it's only the light when it's facing the Atma. When it's facing and acting like when we're acting like jackasses, right? We're not Gurmukh. All of us, including me, right? Gurmukh is when we personify, when we don't have to tell people about I'm a Sikh. People look at it and say, wow, there's a Sikh. The way they act, the way they carry themselves, the way they're constantly connected, the way the aura is around them. That's what a Sikh, when you talk about all these olden day stories, that great Mahaprabhu, that great Sikh was like this, in Guru Sahib's time they were like this, because they were connected, guys. And you know what? We can be connected too. We choose not to, but we can be connected too. Alright, so this monkey mind that doesn't want to sit down. So we've identified Guru and Vaheguru is Guru is the way back to Vaheguru, right? We've identified the fact that it's the mind that's the problem and not the soul or the body, because the body is just acting the way the mind directs it, right? So how do we go about getting hold of this mind, right, and figuring this whole thing out? How do we do that? Anji?
No, by reading the Bani.
Anji?
By reading the Bani.
Reading? Just by reading?
No, there's just more to it, but it's good. You do Simran. You keep good company. You just make sure you have positive thoughts. Doing what the Bani says.
Doing what Bani says? What else?
Seva.
Seva? Think deeper now. Go inside. What do you have to do to really, really get to the crux of this issue?
Continuing on to what Riji said, doing what Gurmani says, but really just changing your sabal into like what the Guru's Sikh should be doing.
Perfect. So everything that was brought into this part of the conversation, fantastic. Let's just introduce this concept of connection. Right? When we connect, connection is a very powerful word. Right? We can read all the Gurbani we want, but if we don't connect with what we're reading, in one ear, out the other. It only connects when it starts to hit here. Okay, so simple things about the mind. Again, we could spend a whole day on this. The mind escapes through the 9 doors. Everybody heard the concept of the 9 doors? Yes or no? Yeah? No? Okay. 2 eyes, 2 ears, nose, mouth, 2 down below. Right? Through our actions, through our काम, क्रोध, लोभ, मोह, अहंकार, the mind escapes through these, right? Through our senses. ज्ञान इंद्रियां and कर्म इंद्रियां. ज्ञान इंद्रियां, our senses, kelo, right? The way we receive information, sight, hearing, touch, and all that kind of stuff. Karma indriya is like the stuff we use to actually create karma, right? So, door to Vaheguru is called the 10th door. Nodar thake, davtar hai, dasve nijkar, vasapai, right? Because when this mind becomes restrained from going from the 9 doors, does that mean like you're plugging all these holes up and sit there like a yogi? I'm just saying. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? Then what is it if it's not that?
The mind still wanders.
Hanji?
The mind still wanders.
The mind still wanders. And that's why when those yogis were sitting in the mountains, they still couldn't control their thoughts. And this is what Sid Gosht, in that conversation with the Siddhs, Guru Nanak Sahib said, you guys are sitting here, but your mind's over there.
Personally, I think that he actually says that they are level.
I didn't say, so there's a difference though, right? Yeah. There's your average yogi.
Yeah.
And then there's something called a Siddh.
Yeah.
And then in the Siddhs, there are 84 manne hoye. Hanji? Right. Siddh, well, in Gurbani they just refer to them as Siddhs.
Yeah.
Right? So those guys weren't your average Joe Blows. These guys had mastered their bodies. These guys had mastered the 18th Siddhya. At no point did I say they were bad. But what I did say is the conversation with Guru Nanak Dev Ji, right? When they were using all these spiritual powers to show off, Guru Nanak Sahib put them into their place and said, that's not what it's about. You can have that all you want. This is where you're going to go. But nobody's saying they weren't spiritually enlightened, right? Much like Gautam Buddha, right? Actually, I'm going to talk about him as well in a bit. So anyways, the mind has to go into Sahaj, right? Into this avastha with this stillness, right? And from that stillness is where the game starts.
Sun Samal.
Yeah, Sun Samal. Sun basically means a four, right? A four avastha, right? Sun or in it comes from a Sanskrit word called shunya.
Yeah.
Shunya means a void or zero. And we've got to be very careful with that because there are practices like vipassana and certain yogic practices, right? Where you go and sit in sun, right?
Yeah.
It's a spiritual state, absolutely. But we've got to remember when Guru Nanak Sahib is talking about Sun Samad, he's talking about a place where creation, everything emanated from, right? So just to give you an example, if you do Simran and you go to no thoughts, that is said to be in sun.
Yeah.
That's fine, right? But let's not confuse being in sun with the absolute total experience. You get what I'm saying? And I know some people do that nowadays, right? They say, I'm in sun. Well, you know what? Buddhists sit in shunya for a long, long time, right? They get to a certain level. But what Guru Sahib talked about is the direct connection through Shabad. You get what I'm saying? Or no?
Well, I do. I just love like different ideas.
No, I'd love to hear it.
Well, it's like, I think Kabir talks about how the 5 senses are 5 keys, right?
Yeah.
And in Sun, it's not that you're not aware of the world around you. It's just that when you don't have a relativist perspective of things, they cease to like have a definitive value. Like there's no pleasure, pain, or anything. That's when when you don't experience that.
Yep. Now, is that a physical? You don't experience pain, or is it?
It's like it doesn't. You can't characterize it as pleasure, or pain. You can't characterize anything in that state. It's Sahaj, right?
Yep. Okay. So it's much like Simrit Sastra Punna Paap Vichar. I'm just going to use an analogy from another side, right? So Simrit Sastra, they keep talking about Punna and Paap, but Tattva is hard not any, but they don't know the real essence, right? So this game of action and inaction, good and bad, pain and pleasure, Hukam Alik, Dukh Sukh Paiye, right? This is in the realm of Karam Khan, until we're in the realm of action and inaction. when we get to this, right? This idea of being detached from all of that, right? That occurs naturally through Guru Sahib.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So for it's not a state that we have to aim for. If we put all our faith in Guru Sahib and just do what Guru Sahib says, all of that will happen. You get what I'm saying? Is that? Okay, so don't have much time. Just the mind. In the traditional Indian system, mind is split up into 4 aspects, right? Man, Chit, Buddh and Ahankar. You remember you were talking about how we identify? How we identify? That kind of falls within this area here. Ahankar. Hung means me. Like home man. Who's heard of the word home man? Right? What does home man mean? I, me. Right? So it's the sense home jira garog hai. Right? Home is actually the cause of everything. And you know what home comes from? It's the absolute sense of duality. That I'm separate. Right? And that's why Guru Nanak Dev Ji started Ek Oankar with Ik. And that's why when people say to me, I'm trying to get to Shunya and go 0, I say that's fantastic.
Yeah.
What does Guru Sahib say? He says, Savtan Ek Agar Chief. You get what I'm saying? I'm not saying Sun is not.
Yeah.
Sun is almost part of that.
Yeah.
Right? But Guru Sahib is saying, Savtan Ek Agar Chief. Because becomes so one-pointed, and this is the difference in, for example, in who's heard of the mantra Soham? Soham. So, hum, so am I. So in certain traditional Indian philosophies, religions, they believe they are the Brahman. They are the God. So they say, I am God. Self-realize, I am God. This is what Kabir Sahib said. He goes, Kabir, tu karta, tu hua, mujh mein raha na hu. Jab apa par ka mit gaya, jat dekho tat tu. See the difference in thinking? They're saying, I am God. But not egotistically, right? They're saying like, I am God, I am God. You know what I mean? So on, right? What Kabir is saying, Kabir, tu karta, tu hua. He goes, when I kept on saying you, the duality, the I-ness just dissipated. And there was no process to go through. Yes, I became you, right? But it was just like, Kabir, tu karta, tu hua, mujh mein. The I-ness, mujh mein, raha na hu. I said, jab apa par ka mit gaya. Right? The I-ness in me, mit gaya. It got dissipated. You get what I'm saying? Alright. So in a Sikh context, right? And this is very important. Guru Sahib didn't really take those ideas. He didn't disqualify them and say those are wrong or anything like that. But what Guru Sahib said, it means to fashion or mold or, you know, fashion or mold, let's say, right? Different aspects of the mind. This is actually, I think, from Guru Granth Darpan. So this is, I think, this is a translation from Professor Sahib Singh. It says, "O mehnat wali avastha vich manukh di surt te mat ghadi jandi hai, bhav surt te mat uchi ho jandi hai, ate man vich jagrat paida ho jandi hai." So when I look at this shabd, what I would say is, mat is almost like the way you do things. Your understanding, the way you do things, right? Your buddh is like your intellect. Your man is split. Your man is basically your thoughts. When you say man, it's basically, I'll tell you why. There's this idea of, who's heard of the word sankalp? Sankalp means a thought. The counter thought to the sankalp is called vikalp. Right? That collection of thought and counter thought, positive and negative, is actually your mind. That's where Gurbani says, Man jeeta jab jeet, what it's saying is, kill the thoughts. Right? When it's saying man mare, taat mar jaye. When the mind dies, when your thoughts die, that thought, the wrong path, the mind escaping, that dissipates. So from here, yes, sort, think of this. Sort is almost one-pointed, focused attention, right? And like for example, if something happens there, my sort leaves and goes over there.
Sort is just your awareness, right?
Yeah, focus. I like to think of it as it's actually that. You imagine your mind becoming so one-pointed, but then that one-pointedness of your mind, now whatever that follows is your sort. You get what I'm saying? So that's why Guru Sahib says, Sort, Shabd Guru, Sort Kunchela. You get what I'm saying? So this is, in a Sikhi context, right? When we do Gurbani, when we do Naam Simran, right? What happens is this, it starts to fashion the way we think, right? Why is this important, guys? Is because this is why people often ask the question, well, why do I have to read Japji Sahib over and over again? Why do I have to sit there and do 2 hours of and just listen to it? Because the mind is actually fashioned by what? Remember the first video? The mind is fashioned by Russell Brand and Lady Gaga and that other show. I used to watch it, but I can't remember it now. No, not Cribs, the first guy. The mother.
Oh, How I Met Your Mother.
How I Met Your Mother. So the mind is fashioned by those guys. That's why, sometimes we say, man nahi lagda. Well, obviously, because we spend too much time with the wrong sangat. Now, I'm not talking about physical sangat. Your mind spends too much time with Kamkuru, Gomo, and Kabo, How I Met Your Mother. Right? If your mind spends more time with Gurbani, it'll start to fashion and remold. Alright. Okay, so now I want to bring that idea of molding and I want to bring it to a very real perspective now. And that's what I like to try and do, is bring it to a level which you can relate to.
Very distinct ways. Like when you look at this photo, you instantly know she has blonde hair, is visibly angry, and likely has some choice words to yell. Without any effort, you experienced fast thinking. But if you look at the following problem, something different happens. Sure, you immediately know it's a multiplication problem, and you knew you could solve it if you had the energy, but didn't. If you do try, your muscles will tense, your pupils will dilate, and your heart rate will increase. Now, you've experienced slow thinking. These two systems of fast and slow thinking dictate much of our perception and reaction in life. Take these lines for example. It's clear that they're different lengths, but if you measure them, they're actually the exact same length. Even now that you know, System 1 or your fast thinking can't stop seeing the illusion because it acts automatically. A similar effect is seen here. Which figure is the largest? Again, they're all the same size, but the suggestion of perspective and depth causes your System 1 to interpret the picture as three-dimensional, even though it's on a flat two-dimensional surface. It's making quick work of the available information, and so your conscious System 2 or slow thinking must compensate after the fact and choose not to believe your intuition or instinct. Want to see your System 2 in action? I'll show you a string of 4 digits, you read them aloud, then add 1 to each of the original digits. If the card reads 3795, the correct response would be 4806. We'll then go to the next card and you'll do the same, followed by the next card. Ready? Go. Few people can cope with more than 4 digits, but even harder is add 3. The interesting bit is that though your pupils would have dilated, you often become effectively blind when you fully engage System 2. Did you notice the color of the text change? Or how about the fact that the numbers completely changed when I put them off to the side? Listen to the following puzzle. A bat and a ball cost $1.10. The bat costs $1 more than the ball. How much does the ball cost? Chances are your System 1 intuition was yelling 10 cents. But this appealing System 1 answer we know is wrong. In fact, the correct answer is 5 cents. Even if you worked out the correct answer, you likely thought of 10 cents along the way. System 1 is trying to work out an answer as quickly and seamlessly as possible, which is extremely beneficial in everyday life. If every activity required full mental effort, it would be exhausting. But knowing this allows us to understand that not all of our first impressions are correct. How many animals of each kind did Moses take into the ark? So few people detect what is wrong with this question that it's been dubbed the Moses illusion. In fact, Moses took no animals, Noah did. Again, our brain invests as little resources as necessary so that things run quickly and smoothly. Because Moses is not abnormal in the biblical context, System 1 unconsciously detects an association between Moses and Ark and quickly accepts the question. In a similar way, System 1 generates context without you knowing. Reading each of the following may seem fairly simple. A, B, C, and approached the bank, and 12, 13, 14. But your brain actually interpreted these ambiguous statements without you ever knowing. You could have read it as A, 13C, or 12, B, 14, but your brain created the context unconsciously. Also, you likely imagined a woman with money on her mind walking towards a building with tellers. But if the sentence before this was, they were floating gently down the river, the entire scene would have changed because bank is no longer associated with money. Without an explicit context, System 1 quickly generates one based on previous experience. In this case, you've likely visited more banks than rivers, and so the context is resolved accordingly. This ties into a concept called priming. For example, if I said wash, how would you complete this word fragment? Most would see soap, but had I just shown you the word eat, you'd be more likely to see soup. In this way, both eat and wash prime your thoughts. Though System 2 likes to think that it's in charge and knows what's going on, the truth is that priming effects have even been shown to affect and modify behavior. These arise in System 1, and you have no conscious access to them. If you'd like to learn more about the thinking systems in your brain, check out the book Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman, which covers it in great detail. I'll put a link in the description which you can check out. Got a burning question you want answered?
You guys see why it's important to frame the mind properly, prime the mind. Now we're using like scientific terms, right? This is why Guru Sahib says barang bar bar prabh japiye. Right? This is why you have to do it over and over again. Right? See, oftentimes we can't answer, well, why do you have to do Simran over and over again? Why do you have to do Japji Sahib over and over again? Why do you have to keep coming to Rance Wise? Why do you have to do Kirtan? Why do Naam Simran Samagams? Why? We have to understand the mind. This is the way the mind works. You get what I'm saying? And this is when Guru Sahib is saying, imagine this. Guru Sahib is saying, just in order to refashion the mind, what you have to do is you have to go through those 5 khands Guru Sahib is talking about, right? But it all starts off with Sangat, Simran, changing the way we act and behave. Now just imagine knowing this information about priming the mind, somebody comes up to you, right, dressed as in a certain way, you're going to start filling in the gaps. That's just the way the mind works. But what happens is, this is what I call it, right? If you want to look at it from a business perspective, I call it a positive bias, right? When you meet somebody, you walk down the road, somebody, don't look at the cut size of their damala, whether they cut hair, whether, all those things. Just look at them and create a positive bias and say, here's why you don't do it to us. It takes time. There are times I meet someone, I want to put, from lack of a better, I want to punch him in the mouth, right? But just imagine, the more time you spend with Gurbani, it'll be less of those thoughts, and it'll be more like, right? You think that'll change? You think that'll actually bring you closer to what Guru Sahib is saying? Right? Yes or no? Absolutely. Okay, so I only have 10 minutes left, so I'm going to have to speed up a little. So essentially, we talked about the mind. You have to prime it. You have to spend, your mind has to spend time with Sangat, right? And the other component is your mind has to realize that there's a problem, right? And this is why I said connection is an important word, because we have to reconnect. So when we were born, before we were born, we were actually connected to the source in the Dasam Dwar. In the 10th door, we were already connected, right? This whole thing that we're doing, we're trying to get reconnected. So, idea, will you drink if you're not thirsty? Will you eat if you're not hungry? Right? This idea, we have to create a hunger, right? The hunger comes from the more Naam Simran we do, the more Sangat we do. It says, Muhawke bolan boliye, jitsonta pyar, hamnit vila sach nao badya vichar. The more we do that, the more we praise, the more we do kabir, tu karta tu hua, the more we do that, that love will get to that state of love. We talked about home. So essentially, there's Waheguru, there's you, and in between is just sense of I. It's that simple. It's difficult, but it's that simple. So why repeat Waheguru? Waheguru Guru Mantra hai, Bhai Gurdas ji says, Waheguru Guru Mantra hai, jape, home khui. Let's take it away. Right? The other thing is, Hukam Manyo, Guru Kera, Gavo Sachi Vani is Guru Sahib's Hukam. Right? You have to realize that if we get a chance to do Simran, aap japai so now. The Atma within us is helping us out, helping us jump. That divine spark within us is actually saying to our mind, dude, this side, you're going down the wrong side, and if you do, you're going to fall off that cliff again. This life's going to be over, and we're going to have to do this over again, 8.4 million lives, because the soul is connected with the mind. So the soul is saying, dude, this way, and on the other side, just imagine that, the angel and the little devil on each shoulder. Your Atma is saying this side, the Panch Dut in you are saying this side, and what's happening? Who's winning? Figure it out. But if you get a chance to sit in Sangat and do Simran, Aap Japai. When your Atma, that connection to Vaheguru, is making you, helping you do this, count that as a blessing. Don't take those moments for granted. Baran bar Prabhu Japiye. It's a hukam of Vaheguru. And then tying this back to the very first video, right? The why am I here? How can I be happy? Right? Ultimately, those things that were talked about in the video, we can't get there through those things, right? The ultimate truth, the ultimate happiness can't be achieved through, Raj, Jovan, Tan, Mal, all those types of things, right? Where we're going to achieve it is through Naam Simran, right? So, again, relating this back to the original video, can you guys just read that off?
चाहे सदा शरण राम की हो ले कहो नानक सुमरे मना दुर्लभ मानुख दे.
Right. So if you're looking for that peace, everybody's looking for. Does it make it any more clearer? Alright. So you remember we talked about it is through Gurbani that we can get to that Nirgun form of Shabd, right? Here it is. Gurbani Bhakti Jagayantar is Bani Te Har Naam Paida. Naam isn't just a word for the Guru Mantra. Naam is a bigger connotation for the Nirgun form of Shabd. Right? Alright, so imagine this. Your mind, your thoughts, your sut, when it's one pointed, merges into the Shabd, and the Shabd gets you to Vaheguru. Simple as that, guys. Okay, we don't have a lot of time, but I'm going to get through this. This is very important. So what is Simran? We talked about this, right? So we got kids flying a kite, goldsmith making gold, women carrying water pitcher, a working mom near a baby. Did you know that these are the exact examples used in Gurbani? बाणी नामदेव जियो की रामकली मतार पहला एक ओंकार सतगुर प्रसादे आ नीले कागद काटीले गुडिया कास मदे परमियले पंच जना स्यो बात बतुआ कीत सो डोरी राखियले. The boy takes paper, cuts it and makes it a kite and flies it in the sky. Talking with his friends, he still keeps his attention on the kite string. I'm just going to speed it up and go through the English translation, just because we don't have much longer left. My mind has been pierced by the name of the Lord, like the goldsmith whose attention is held by his work. Pause. Hero. Focus on this part. The young girl in the city takes a pitcher, fills it in with water. She laughs and plays and talks with her friends, but she keeps her attention focused on the pitcher of water. The cow is let loose, grazes 5 miles away, but keeps its attention focused on its calf. Much like the mother is at work, inside and outside, but she holds her child in her thoughts. You know, as a parent, I can tell you that happens. And that is actually Simran. When you are constantly connected, you may not be saying it, right? And that's why we have to manifest Simran through 3 aspects. It has to be through man, bach, kram, prab, ek te aaye. And this is where it differs from just sitting there in one spot and doing it. Guru Sahib saying that remembrance and connection of the one has to come out through your mind, speech and thoughts. So we don't have time to go over this. So what happens is, now once you realize what Simran is, so Simran is being connected, Jap is the way to become connected. So when we do Wah Guru, Wah Guru, Wah Guru, that is Jap, that is not Simran per se. It is Simran, but that's leading us to this state that Bhakti was talking about, where you are constantly connected no matter what you're doing. Like the mother who's connected with her child regardless if they're miles apart. You get what I'm saying? So Gurbani gives these analogies, right? It's like a lotus flower untouched upon the surface of water, and the duck swims through the stream. One's consciousness focused on the word of the Shabd, one crosses over the terrifying world ocean. Bottom line is, you know, duck's feathers, water gets on, it's like waterproof, it just comes right off. What happens is, when we start living what we've talked about, when we say Shosikhi, when you start to understand the aspects of Guru and God, you start having faith in Guru and God, you start to read, understand, connect with Guru and God, you start to implement Guru and God into your mind, your actions and your speech, right? What happens is, there's a natural state of being. That is the state of a lotus flower surrounded by all the dirt but unaffected by it. It is like the water on the duck's feathers, right? Hits, it's waterproof, comes right off. So, from a very real perspective, somebody gets mad at you, one who's connected to Simran, right? Will say, Farita, Bure da bhala kar, gussa manna handaye, dehi rogana lagi, right? That will be a natural response of a person. Now, what we have to do is think for yourselves. Do you, do I, do we react like that? No, because we're not connected yet. That means there's work to do. Uddam kare, remember the theme Shabd? Uddam kare, right? That means we have to put more effort in, right? In order to do that. So we talked about that. We've already covered aspects of this. Meditation versus Simran. So a common thing in meditation is, you know, focus on your breath. Using pranayam, right? Pranayam, right? It's a yogic, it's from an arm, a limb of yoga called Ashtang Yog, right? Yog actually means union, right? It's a religious discipline. It's not like it's a bad thing. It's a separate religious discipline. But let's not confuse Yog with Gurmat, right? Very distinct. Quite simply, it says, Jete saas gras man leta, tete hi gun gaiye. Right? Where does this idea of doing Simran like this? You breathe in, you say why? Breathe out, you say Guru. So one of the things I want to share with you, one of the things that sometimes I listen to and I'm like, Vavelu kanna va, ha henu sahari, what does that ha henu sahari make? What sound does that make? Okay. Sometimes we say Va He Guru. Otte asi lam laune lam. You get what I'm saying? If we do Shuddha Charan, it's Vaheguru, Vaheguru, Lagu and Dira, right? The Dulan kadi ko Vaheguru, right? But certain vowels are short, right? So hahinu se hari, vavenu kunna va, hahinu se hari va, guru, right? So anyways, don't want to spend too much time on that. I just want to point that out, right? Where does this come from? Even this idea of Bekari Bani is when we do Guru Mantar and we do it aloud with our mouth and we listen with our ears. Madhama Bani is when we do it like a whisper in our kant and we listen to the sound. Basanti is when it goes inside, you physically stop saying it with your mouth and you're not using these ears, you're using, everything's going on internally. And then Parabani is when you're connected to the Nirgun form of Shabd. Does that make sense? Where does this come from? Can anybody tell me a Gurmat literature that where this vidhi, this technique may come from? I know lots of people have talked about it, but anybody know directly? So I'm going to share this with you because it's important. This is, we're supposed to actually do the post presentation here at the thing, but we won't. So anyways, this one here, Shaheed Bhai Mani Singh, he wrote some stuff down. Two of his works, one is Sikhandi Paktamala. It was edited by a very popular Sikh scholar by the name of Bhai Arbinder Singh.